and welcome to the very first video on Toto's Tales, a brand new reptile based channel. I am Toto, as you can tell by the title, and this is Rex, my nearly 2-year-old banana het clown ball python. And I thought, in terms of first videos, what should we do on the channel? It's nearly 2025 as I record this. It may even be 2025 as you watch this. So I thought I'd start with a just basic ball python setup and care guide to get us started. Now, as you can see, Rex is not yet fully grown. He's about 18 months actually, instead of 2 years nearly. But he's growing very well. He's doing well. You can see his vivarium beside me. Ignore this water bowl. His old one broke. So during this holiday period, I've not got a new one yet. So we'll get that sorted. However, I thought we'd start with vivariums because it's very important that housing is a priority when you get any new reptile, but especially one that's going to change its size a lot during its lifetime. Now, you may get a ball python when it's already an adult, so you definitely know that there's going to be no more growing, so therefore you can just go with one size vivarium and it's going to be there for the rest of its life. However, some people like to, if they get their animal when they're small, for example, I got Rex when he was literally about that size. He was only a few months old. I, however, went just straight in. What are you doing? He's being very preoccupied. There's a very bright light here from my crested gecko vivarium, and I think he's just like, what is going on? I just immediately put Rex in a 4x2x2, which is what this is. You can see me. I'll put some stock footage as well of just Rex in his vivarium coasting around. But yeah, I immediately, just as he was at his smallest, put him in there. There will be debate about whether or not you should immediately go with a 4x2x2 for a ball python, because they can get overexposed, they don't like that, they can get scared. But that's only the case if you don't appropriately fill the vivarium. Filling the vivarium is very much the priority. You need to give them lots of different places to hide. You need a hot hide, you need a cool hide, you need hides in the middle. You need basically just plenty of space for them to feel safe and secure in. So if you do that, there's really no reason why you can't just immediately go for a 4x2x2, which, by the way, is the minimum size. These animals can get between 3 and 5 feet in typical cases. Always make sure that however big your snake is, they can fully extend themselves along one side of the vivarium, or one and a corner as well. So Rex just now is only around 3 feet. So he can fully stretch himself along the entire front of the vivarium. But if he got bigger, I would be extending his vivarium. I am hopefully eventually going to get him in a 6x2x2, because then he will never be in danger of not being in enough space. So yes, overall, my message is, if you can, straight away go with a 4x2x2 or 120 gallon, wherever you are in the world. But if you are insistent on having a small vivarium as they grow, please know that the minimum size for an adult ball python is 120 gallons. In regards to general decor in the actual vivarium, fill it. As you can see with the kind of footage over the top there, I have just done my best to fill the vivarium as best I can. I've got different cork barks, different cork logs, different hides. You want to make it as cluttered as possible so that they always feel like they have a safe space. The kind of general golden rule is that your snake should be able to get from one end to the tank completely unseen. Now, that isn't a hard and fast rule, obviously. There's going to be open spaces, but generally there should always be a place for your snake to hide. So just clutter, clutter, clutter. So we then move on to substrate. As you can see here, and as you can see from the stock footage, I have Rex on a specific branded ZooMed Forest Floor substrate. Now, other typical substrates can be organic topsoil in a mix, or from Arcadia. Especially if you're going bioactive. I don't have Rex in a bioactive just now. I have other animals in bioactives, but just not Rex. That is the eventual plan. However, one of the most common one is coconut husk. I have went with ZooMed because Rex just feels more comfortable in that. We originally started with cocoa mulch, cocoa husk, whatever you want to say, and he just didn't really like it. The humidity also wouldn't hold as well, I found. I will put a link to ZoomEd Forest Floor. I just got massively distracted by his little face there. ZoomEd Forest Floor in the description. I am not getting any kickback from it. It's just a product that I really like. So now if we move on to temperature and humidity, ball pythons are a tropical species generally, so require a bit more humidity than your typical snake, such as a corn snake. So as a result, that can be one of the biggest stumbling blocks for a lot of new owners. So I would say you need a rough humidity between 70 and 80%. If I look just now, my humidity is currently 76%. Rex does prefer it to be a bit on the high end. You will get some people saying that 60% is adequate levels of humidity for ball pythons. I would personally disagree because I feel like you run the risk of dehydration there, and then that can lead to bad sheds, that can lead to respiratory infection. I would say aim for 70 to 80% at all times. Now to do that, you just need to pour water into the substrate. Do not spray the substrate, I would say, because it can lead to scale rot. I was given incorrect information when I first got Rex about a year ago and was spraying the substrate, and he got a very, very minor, he's now going to the microphone, a very minor case of scale rot. I can put that on the screen just now actually because I have photos from when it happened. Thankfully, it's all gone now, and I was taught by some wonderful people from the Green Room Pythons community, specifically, how to actually boost the humidity. You just take all your decor out and actually pour water into the substrate, mix it in by hand, and then that means that it'll stay for longer, first of all, and it means that you don't need to be constantly updating it. But yeah, so 70 to 80%. Boost it a wee bit when they're in shed, so then they can actually be in shed and shed comfortably, but between 70 and 80%. In terms of temperature for these guys, you want to have a cold side around 24 to 26 degrees Celsius. That is roughly 76 to 80 Fahrenheit for North Americans out there. And in the hot side, you want roughly between 31 and 33 degrees Celsius, which is roughly between 88 and 92 Fahrenheit. Anything above 35 degrees Celsius or 95 Fahrenheit starts to get a bit dangerous, and anything below 24 degrees Celsius can also get quite dangerous. They need the heat to adequately digest their meals. They need the cool side to properly have a temperature gradient. That's why the size of the enclosure, to go back to that, is also very important to maintain a proper temperature gradient. In order to provide that heat, you would use either a ceramic heat emitter as a kind of secondary heat source, or the main one, which is the best one, is a deep heat projector. Both of these are overhead heating. There is debate about which is better. Do snakes need belly heat examples? The best way to provide them with heat is to emulate their most natural way, which is the sun, which is overhead. So if you use a deep heat projector, or at least a ceramic heat emitter, or a radiant heat panel, you'll be sorted. And yeah, the way you would manage that is with both a thermostat and either a heat gun, little thermometers, not the analog stick-on ones, digital thermometers, which, as you can see, if I let Rex rest on this arm, as you can see there, that's a digital thermometer that I got for a few pound on Amazon that you can literally just chuck in there, and it will give you both your humidity and temperature at all times. Now, as Rex is desperately trying to investigate, he's probably getting hungry because he's getting fed tomorrow, and that then perfectly leads us on to feeding. Now, there's quite specifics about ball python feeding. It's weight-based of the prey and weight-based of the actual snake itself. So up until they are 1 year old, roughly, all of this is rough estimates, as he is currently wrapped around my Fitbit watch without a care in the world. So until they roughly reach 1 year old or 500 grams, whichever comes first, you would feed between 10 and 15% of the snake's total weight every 7 days, which is why it's really important to keep measuring the weight of your snake at all times, as he's currently loving, like, he's very wrapped up now. I don't know what he's doing. So yes, 10 to 15% of the first year of its life until or it reaches 500 grams. Then, funnily enough, the schedule Rex is currently on, either as they are 12 to 24 months or at whatever time their weight plateaus for 2 months, you feed up to 7% every 2 weeks instead of 1 week. And then finally, when they are adults and fully grown, it is up to 5% of their body weight every 20 to 30 days. So it's very much the maths-based aspect of owning a ball python, but it is very important and something that is hugely prioritized because you can accidentally overfeed, you can accidentally underfeed, and it will affect your snake's health at the end of the day. And that's all the basic things you need: feeding, substrate, enclosure size, heating, humidity. I will go more in depth in other videos in kind of more advanced details about what you need. I'll end up doing videos about handling and stuff like that, but that is everything you need to get started. Most of this information came from the ball python subreddit, multiple other channels that I've been a fan of for many years now, and then also just my own experience. I would say this: don't allow yourself to worry that you aren't sticking everything by the rules. As long as you have the rough of everything, that's what's important. Your snake will be different. Every single snake is different. Some prefer it a tiny wee bit hotter, some prefer it a tiny wee bit cooler, some prefer bigger vivariums, some prefer smaller vivariums. The priority is that you are making sure your ball python is the happiest it can be. So, a huge thank you for watching from both me and Rex. Check back this channel if you are interested in any form of reptile content. We'll be doing care guides for the other reptiles that I have as well. Looking forward to that in the new year and the surrounding days around then. I will be doing a multitude of content this year. I'm really looking forward to it. If you have any suggestions for what you want to see, please do let me know in the comments. But until then, we will see you next time. Bye-bye.